All right, what is up, everybody? This is Robbie One Kenobi coming back at you with another video, and this is going to be a video response to FreakinYaYa88, aka it's Miguel Yo. If you follow him on Twitter and Instagram, aka Miguel, as he's simply known by friends and family. And last night he came up with this unique concept for a challenge for a video, and it was called Dream Match Time Travel, where basically you're given a time machine and you have the opportunity to go back in time and relive any 5 wrestling matches in person. Real cool concept, real unique idea, but there is a catch. It does challenge you because whatever matches you choose, those respective shows cannot be used in a future list which accompanies this list. Miguel's going to be making a Dream Wrestling Show time travel video where it's going to be the same rules as this video. You pick 5 wrestling shows that you travel through time to witness live in person. And I'll be doing my own list once his is published. It'll be my video response as well. But the rules of this challenge are pretty simple. 5 matches from any era in wrestling, from any show that you'd love to go back in time to witness live in person, but those shows can't be used for the following list that will accompany it. Now, this took some time because I have seen many great wrestling matches throughout the years, but with this list, I wanted to make sure that I just didn't put 5 random matches that I just wanted to travel through time to witness so I could make a list. I took my time and I literally went through 1996 when I first started watching wrestling through 2014 and wrote down the list of every match that stuck out to me from that respective year. I have my list right in front of me. I came up with at least 10, narrowed it down to 5 with 3 honorable mentions. Now, those 3 honorable mentions are Undertaker versus Shawn Michaels from the 25th anniversary of WrestleMania, The Rock versus Mankind from Royal Rumble 1999, and Ultimate Warrior versus Macho King Randy Savage from WrestleMania 7. Now, this list is my personal picks for the 5 matches that I would personally love to witness in person. And I'd travel back in time. I'd hop in my DeLorean and I'd travel back in time to relive these classics. I do have some multi-man matches on here, but I limited my choice to just 3 because the other two choices on this list are singles matches. I wanted to make sure I included at least 1 singles match, and when I realized I was going on 3 multi-man matches, I cut it there and said, okay, the next 2 will be singles matches. So without any further ado, let's get down to my list, starting off with number 5 from Raw in May of 2001, Chris Jericho and Chris Benoit versus Stone Cold Steve Austin and Triple H for the WWF Tag Team Championships. This took place in the Bay Area. I believe it was either in San Jose or Sacramento, because I remember it was the night after Judgment Day. And this match is mainly remembered because it was the match where Triple H legitimately tore his quad in the match, and despite that kind of a debilitating injury, he still managed to finish the match. But what sticks out to me about the match is how big this was when it went down at that time. Jericho and Benoit had just formed a tag team the night prior at Judgment Day 2001. They won Tag Team Turmoil, and that earned them the right to challenge Austin and Triple H for the Tag Team Championships. Austin and Triple H were known as the 2-man power trip. They were aligned with Vince McMahon. They had the tag team titles. Austin was WWF champion at that time. Triple H was Intercontinental champion. Well, he lost the Intercontinental championship the night before to Kane in a chain match. And that was quite a dominant heel duo for the time that they were working together. And what was great about seeing Jericho and Benoit team up was they were rivals for almost a good year. And then they joined forces. They had wrestled each other in Japan in WCW. They had a storied feud in WWF. And then they came together to fight a common enemy. And I was a major Jericho fan at that time. I am still a big Jericho fan. He is definitely one of my top 10 favorite wrestlers of all time. But I thought it was really cool to see him and Benoit join forces after all the battles they had waged against one another. And, they were hands down two of the best technical wrestlers of their generation. The crowd for this match was on fire. I mean, this was like a typical underdog story in a sense that Jericho and Benoit were the underdogs. Like, I don't think anybody expected that Jericho and Benoit were going to win the tag team championships. I didn't watch the match live when it happened because I didn't get TNN where I was living back in San Francisco, but I watched it recently on YouTube a while back, and that match was just awesome. It may have not been the greatest match of all time, but that had a hot crowd, two real hot tag teams, and I mean, that was one fitting main event. Of course, like I said, this is where Triple H tore his quad when he broke up the walls of Jericho. And I'll never forget that spot where Jericho has Triple H in the walls of Jericho on the announce table. I mean, that match had that it factor. And to be there live, the thing about these matches is I know what the result of every match is going to be because I've already seen it. But to be there live with that crowd, feel that energy, and then just, relive the excitement of Jericho and Benoit overcoming the odds and defeating Austin and Triple H, that would be awesome. And what's funny is I started thinking about this literally just hours ago. If Triple H had not gotten injured, it would have been interesting to see if at King of the Ring, instead of a triple threat match for the WWF title, it was a fatal four-way. If it was Austin versus Jericho versus Benoit versus Triple H, that would have been interesting. The other thing that I'd be thinking about while I was watching that match is how long would Jericho and Benoit have been tag team champions? They lost the titles I think a month after winning them. And I think it was a shame, but I think the main reason they lost them was because of Benoit's neck injury, which he further aggravated in that triple threat match. But, I stop and think, how long would Jericho and Benoit have held those tag team championships had Benoit not got injured? How dominant of a tag team could they have been? How remarkable of a tag team could they have been? Those are the things I would have thought about as I watched Jericho and Benoit defeat Austin and Triple H. But that was undoubtedly one of Raw's best main events throughout the new millennium, and that makes my list at number 5 for dream match time travel. Coming in at number 4 from Armageddon 2000, the 6-man Armageddon Hell in a Cell match for the WWF Championship. That was another one of those matches that just had it in terms of the star power and in terms of the storytelling and the atmosphere. Because prior to Armageddon in 2000, there had been one non-traditional Hell in a Cell match. And what I mean by that is it was a tag team match between Stone Cold Steve Austin and Undertaker against Kane and Mankind. Never before had there been more than 4 competitors in a Hell in a Cell match. And in this match, you had Kurt Angle, who was a defending WWF champion, Stone Cold Steve Austin, Triple H, The Rock, The Undertaker, and Rikishi. Now, not counting Rikishi, you had 5 of the hottest names at that time, 5 of the biggest names on Raw, and 5 of the biggest main event stars at that time. So, the star power was enough to sell the match. And the match itself was awesome. I mean, you had Rock and Austin having that epic showdown for the 2 minutes they went at it towards the end of the match. Undertaker chokeslamming Rikishi off the cell. Vince McMahon trying to pull apart the Hell in a Cell with that construction crew, and that ended up allowing everyone to exit the ring or exit the Hell in a Cell and fight all over the arena in terms of the little battleground they set up with the smashed cars and everything. And what also made that match great was you were wondering, would Kurt Angle even survive Hell in a Cell considering who he was in there with? Undertaker, who's made a name for himself in Hell in a Cell matches. Triple H, who made a name for himself at that time by defeating Mick Foley and retiring Mick Foley at No Way Out 2000. Stone Cold Steve Austin and The Rock. I mean, Rikishi, nothing against Rikishi, but he wasn't a main event player at that time. He, of course, was in the feud with Austin. He was being revealed as the guy that ran Austin over the year prior at Survivor Series in 1999. But still, this was one hell of an exciting Hell in a Cell match. Crowd was insane for it. I mean, you had crazy spots. Like I said, Rock and Austin, their little brief showdown. And I always say this, Rock and Austin and Undertaker and Austin are the two ultimate Hell in a Cell matches we never got. We never got Rock and Austin, and we never got Undertaker and Austin. Undertaker and Austin, for me, would have probably been the bigger Hell in a Cell match than Rock and Austin. And I remember watching SummerSlam in 1998 with one of my cousins, and at the end of Undertaker and Austin for the WWF Championship, my cousin came in and said, oh, next time they're going to have a rematch inside Hell in a Cell. And that always stuck to me. And, it's a shame we never got Undertaker and Austin inside Hell in a Cell. To me, if I was to do like a dream WrestleMania card of my own original matches, Undertaker and Austin in Hell in a Cell would have been the main event, no doubt. But yeah, Armageddon 2000, the 6-man Hell in a Cell match. The 6-man Hell in a Cell match, we haven't seen it since Armageddon, but that's one of the favorite match types that my friends and I will play in 2K14 or 2K15 or WWE 13. It was a revolutionary Hell in a Cell match, so to speak. And, I don't think WWE in this era can ever replicate the Hell in a Cell with 6 men. They did 3 men in 2011. They did the triple threat with Cena, Del Rio, and CM Punk. But they'll never replicate the magic that was the 6-man Hell in a Cell. And I just watched it again on the WWE Network, and that match still holds up as one of the best Hell in a Cell matches of all time. May not be the greatest, but that is definitely one hell of a Hell in a Cell match, and definitely one that's worth watching. Coming in at number 3. Now, this match actually took place about a year and a half ago, but I just really, really enjoyed this match. And I didn't get to see it live in person, but I got to see it live at a local pub in San Francisco, and the crowd there was friggin' pumped. They were awesome. And that is just like the icing on the cake, so to speak. That was just a little preview of how insane I could imagine the actual crowd at this match, the actual crowd that saw this match live was as it went down. So my number 3 pick is CM Punk versus Brock Lesnar, the Best versus the Beast from SummerSlam 2013. That no disqualification match was a straight up fight, and that is just what it needed to be. If it was CM Punk versus Brock Lesnar in a regular wrestling match, I don't think it would have worked. And what's funny is I noticed something about Brock Lesnar in the matches he's been having since returning to WWE with his MMA gimmick, and that is, if it's a regular wrestling match, he hasn't had much success. They're not as good as if it's like a no-holds-barred match or a street fight or Extreme Rules match, where it's more in his favor because he's adapted the MMA style. So in a traditional wrestling match, if he tries to make it a street fight with his MMA style, or he tries to make it an ugly fight, it's not going to be as exciting as when back in 2003 and 4, he was one hell of a mat technician, because he did achieve some accolades while he was an amateur wrestler. I believe he won the NCAA Heavyweight Championship at a young age. So these kind of matches now with Brock in his MMA mode, if they're a street fight or a no-holds-barred match or any kind of no disqualification match, they're more in his favor. And the build-up to this match was great. I mean, I honestly never thought in a million years that we'd see CM Punk and Brock Lesnar face off in a WWE ring. And, their match at SummerSlam was one of the 2 big main events of that card. I think, that undoubtedly was one of the big selling points for SummerSlam 2013. Punk versus Lesnar, along with John Cena versus Daniel Bryan for the WWE Championship. And I mean, to be there live and watch those two just beat the hell out of each other. I mean, Lesnar in that match, if you guys go back and watch that match, he's dominating Punk. He's throwing Punk around like a rag doll. He put the part of the announce table over Punk, and he jumped on top of him like if Punk was a sack of potatoes. I mean, the storytelling of that match was brilliant. I mean, Punk doing whatever he could to slay this beast. He knows he can't. He knows he has to chop Brock down like a tree if he's going to have any chance at beating him. And it was just a great match. I mean, that moment where Brock was trapped in the Anaconda Vice, And when I was watching it live with the crowd at the pub in San Francisco, we were chanting tap out, tap out, tap out, because we really thought he was gonna tap out, and we were just waiting to see if it was actually gonna happen. I mean, that crowd that night in San Francisco was pumped, and I can only imagine, because I really couldn't hear how the crowd was reacting to the match inside the pub, the crowd at the Staples Center, how they were reacting to the match. But that was just a hell of a match. And, I mean, probably the two best Paul Heyman guys of our generation squaring off in a straight-up fight to the finish. I mean, you couldn't ask for more. And I loved that match. In my opinion, that was the match of the year. And I think that was not only one of CM Punk's best matches, but that was undoubtedly Brock Lesnar's best match since returning to the WWE in 2012. I mean, the best versus the beast. You couldn't ask for anything better. And the only thing I wish is that we got a rematch. Best versus the beast round 2. I was really hoping at the Royal Rumble last year that when Punk came out number 1, Brock was going to make this surprise appearance as number 2, and they were going to go at it for the entire match until they were the final 2. But we'll probably never get Punk Lesnar 2, Best versus Beast round 2, with Punk going to UFC. But thank you guys, Brock and Punk, for putting on one hell of a match, Best versus Beast, that I honestly will never forget. I'm still talking about that match a year and a half later, because it was just one of the best of that year and one of the best SummerSlam matches of all time. Coming in at number 2, this is a personal all-time favorite of mine, and this to me was the selling point for No Mercy 2002 when this match went down. Edge and Rey Mysterio versus Kurt Angle, and Chris Benoit in the finals of the Tag Team Championship Tournament from No Mercy 2002. You want to talk great wrestling, watch this match. You had 4 young stars going out there and blowing the roof off the joint. I don't even remember where they were wrestling. I think they were in Little Rock. But yeah, that was just an amazing match. And when you look at the two teams, you're talking about 2 star power teams. In one corner, you have Kurt Angle and Chris Benoit, 2 great technical wrestlers. Again, Benoit, one of the best of his generation, despite all the controversy he created with that tragedy. Kurt Angle, Olympic gold medalist, one hell of a mat technician. They were rivals at one point, and then they became a tag team. And, it's a shame that they lost the titles when they did, because looking back at it now in hindsight, I think if Angle and Benoit had been champs from No Mercy 2002 until like Royal Rumble 2003, they could have been a strong tag team. I think they would have been a underrated tag team, or a hidden gem of a tag team, if that makes sense. I think they would have been quite the dark horse tag team from 2002 to 2003. But don't get me wrong, I love the matches they had following their tag team championship reign, especially that Royal Rumble championship classic in 2003. But going back to this match, you look at the other team, Edge and Rey Mysterio. You had Rey, who was making quite an impact in WWE. I mean, he had just joined the company in July. He generated a ton of buzz. He had that brilliant opener with Kurt Angle at SummerSlam that August. And then you had Edge, who was establishing himself as a single star and as a future main event player. And the interesting thing, looking back at that match, and it's something I would be thinking about while I'm sitting there reliving it, is that originally Edge and Rey weren't going to team. It was supposed to be Rikishi and Rey Mysterio. And nothing against Rikishi, but I just really couldn't see him and Rey Mysterio clicking as a tag team. I think the only reason that WWE was originally going to pair them up was because it was a big man and a little man that would appeal to the kids and whatnot. But they made the right decision with Edge and Rey. I just don't see Rikishi and Rey having the classic that they did with Angle, and that he and Edge had with Angle and Benoit if he was teaming with Rikishi. But anyway, this match, I mean, these were the 2. I'll put it to you like this. If it was Edge and Rey or Angle and Benoit versus the Guerreros, if it wasn't Edge and Rey versus Angle and Benoit, and the Guerreros ended up facing either team in the finals, you still would have gotten a hell of a match. And this was undoubtedly the match of the night. And Undertaker and Brock Lesnar had a lot to follow up with their match inside Hell in a Cell for the WWE Championship. I mean, Rey Mysterio did some insane moves in this match, including a 619 that broke up Chris Benoit's crossfaces him. I mean, the crowd was jacked. The match was great. Great technical wrestling from all four guys. I really liked the ending where Edge and Kurt Angle were trading holds and they were trading exchanges and ankle locks. I mean, I bought the No Mercy DVD, No Mercy 2002, just because of that match. And don't get me wrong, No Mercy 2002 is a really good show for a non-Big Four pay-per-view. But this match alone was the main reason I ordered the pay-per-view and the main reason I bought the DVD. I mean, it was just to relive that in person. I mean, that would give me goosebumps. And like I said, I already know that Kurt Angle and Chris Benoit won the match. With all 5 of these matches, I already know the outcomes. But just to be there and watch them go at it and produce some of the best wrestling of that year. I mean, there's no doubt that's why Edge, Rey, Angle, Benoit, and Eddie and Chavo were considered the SmackDown 6, because they were putting on some of the best matches for that brand at that time. And this match right here is a testament to how awesome the SmackDown 6 were, and it still to this day holds a special place in my heart as one of my all-time favorite matches. Edge and Rey Mysterio versus Kurt Angle and Chris Benoit. I haven't seen all of their 2 out of 3 falls match, but I know that was another classic. And if I ever find that on YouTube, which I probably can, I'm definitely going to watch that. But there was just something really, really special that night about the first match these guys had as teams against one another. And like I said, it's always going to hold a special place in my heart as one of my personal favorite matches. So now we get down to number 1. And this is going to probably surprise a lot of you because many of you may not even remember that this match happened. But this one is a very, very special match to me. Stone Cold Steve Austin versus Shawn Michaels. Champion versus champion from King of the Ring in 1997. Now, when I said Stone Cold Steve Austin versus Shawn Michaels, you probably were thinking of the match they had at WrestleMania 14. But I think a lot of people forget that Austin and HBK had a hidden gem of a match in 1997 when they were tag team champions. This was a huge deal for me because at the time I was a huge fan of Stone Cold Steve Austin and a huge fan of Shawn Michaels. They're undoubtedly 2 of my top 5 wrestlers. They're in the top 10 with Rey Mysterio and Chris Jericho and Triple H. But at that time in 1997, Austin and Shawn Michaels were 2 of my all-time favorites, with Undertaker hands down. And that was a huge match for me when that went down. I mean, I knew they could put on a hell of a match, and they did. And I don't think this gets a lot of talk because everybody remembers the match they had at WrestleMania 14 for reasons given, for certain reasons. But this match at King of the Ring 1997, it showed that Austin, you know, he's a brawler, but it showed he could put on a really good wrestling match, just like he had matches with Bret Hart and Shawn Michaels. I mean, whether he was in the state of mind that he was at that time or was born again in 2002 after, changing his life around, Shawn Michaels was still undoubtedly one of the best pound-for-pound performers of his generation and one of the best pound-for-pound performers in WWE history. And I'll always remember this match. My younger cousin, who I love like a younger brother, and I always remember this match for one reason. It's a great match, don't get me wrong, but we always remember it for the ending because that was when both Shawn and Stone Cold laid the referees out with their finishers. I mean, that was just a priceless ending. It may have been a stupid finish, but I just remember that, and I would always talk to my younger cousin, who I love like a younger brother. I would always talk to him about that match, and we'd always bring up the referees getting laid out by Austin with the stunners and HBK with the sweet chin music, super kicks. But that match, like I said, was great, and it doesn't really get a lot of recognition because everybody remembers the WrestleMania match in 1998. But this one at King of the Ring in 1997 was just a great, great match, and it was this major deal for me because it was 2 of my all-time favorites at that time in a major match that wasn't even for the WWF Championship. Undertaker was a champion at that time. And I mean, that was the sole reason I ordered King of the Ring 1997, to watch Stone Cold Steve Austin and Shawn Michaels duke it out in the classic that I knew they were gonna have. I knew they were gonna have an awesome match, and they produced a hell of a classic that is to this day still a hidden gem. And I still think the ending with the finishers on the referees is funny, priceless, whatever. I still think that was unique in a way, because no guy got pinned. They were the tag team champions at the time. They were trying to find out which of them was the better man. But in the end, it was a great match. And if of these 5 matches, I had the chance to go back and just relive one, it would most likely be HBK and Stone Cold Steve Austin live in person from King of the Ring 1997. Like I've said, and I know I've just said this a few times before, everybody remembers WrestleMania 14, but if you haven't seen their King of the Ring 97 encounter, it's definitely worth checking out. A hidden gem in WWF/E history. And my personal pick for the number 1 match that I would travel through time in my DeLorean with my 1.21 gigawatts to witness, to relive in person. So thank you guys for listening. Thank you guys for watching. Leave your comments below. You know what? Feel free to make a video response to both me and Miguel. And if you want to tweet them to us, you can tweet me at Robbie1Kenobi, just like it's spelled out here on my YouTube channel. Or you can tweet it to Miguel at It's Miguel Yo, all one word. Guys, let us know what you think. What 5 matches would you travel through time to relive? Also, if you get a chance while you're on my channel, check out my previous video, Undertaker in the 2015 Royal Rumble match, and share your thoughts on that video as well in the comment section below. Please click the subscribe button if you have not already, if you want to check out more of my content. Thank you once again for listening. Thank you once again for watching. Have a good day. Have a good night. And Miguel, thank you for this challenge, yo. Very unique. Took me some time, but I was up for it. Hope you like this video, and keep doing what you do, man. And to everybody who's still listening and watching, peace out.